lot around wellness in the different aspects, even in terms of social connections and relationships. We've talked about nutrition, the food and the drink and the kind of meals for the different blood group or for the different blood groups. We've spoken about them. So if you have questions around any of these aspects that you still need some light to be thrown at, please just note them and type them in the comment section so that we can deal with those. Also, in the last couple of months, we've talked about the physical exercise, how it's important to ensure that you maintain physical health regardless of the economic challenges. It's as simple as just taking a walk. And or even just doing some exercises in the comfort of your bedroom. You don't have to get to the gym before you can have that physical health. So all of these things have been addressed, and we would like to hear from you, questions, feedback, anything that you want us to talk about. And today we will be asking different questions that we have gotten before now from our convener, that's tmak, and he will be helping us to shed light on the different aspects as we wrap everything up to say, okay, so how can we ensure that we have a balanced, where we have a balanced life and we are well in all aspects. And we are wrapping it up majorly with the financial wellness, because we know that, hey, money is important in all things. So we'll be talking about financial wellness today and using that to wrap up this particular series. So welcome on board, and I hope you enjoy the ride. So Tmak, we are ready to ask you certain questions. Good evening, and thank you for your time. Thank you for hosting this. So,
thank you, Bumi. Thank you. Please confirm that you can hear me. Thank you, everybody. Good to have you guys here. Yes? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me and you can talk, please unmute and talk or say yes in the chat box, just to be sure.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can anybody hear me? I'm not sure.
Okay, we can hear you.
I'm not mute.
You can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, yes, they confirmed.
Okay, who is confirming that?
In the chat.
I can't see anybody who can hear me.
Somebody has said.
You are loud and clear, sir.
Okay,
you are loud and clear.
Good evening.
Hear you,
Good evening,
sir.
everybody. Yes, like Bumi said, we've been on this for February. Since February, we've been on this for February, March, April, May, June, July, August, since the 7th month. We've been digging around wellness, and we are happy now to be bringing it to a landing. We hope it has been worth your while, whether you are watching this live or you are watching this as a recorded session. We hope it's been worth your while. So, Bumi, I am ready. Let's go.
All right, thank you, Tmak. So let's start with first things first. The economy has been pretty tight. Inflation is close to 35% now, 33%, I think, as at the last report. How do you then ensure? So we're talking about, it's going to be in three different parts. We talk about how to make money, how to manage it, and then how to multiply that money. So in terms of making money, we all know that salary is not necessarily increasing, but the purchasing power of things have really gone up. Number one is, how can we increase income? And while increasing income, how do we also ensure that inflation is not eating up the purchasing power? How do we defend ourselves against this inflation that is just, let me not say moving mad, but that's just going at a very increasing rate? So how do we deal with that?
Okay. Thank you for that question. But allow me to kind of start differently. I would like to actually start by just laying the foundation for what financial wellness is. We've been talking about wellness. We've spoken about wellness from the physical point of view. We've spoken about wellness from the medical point of view. We've spoken about wellness from a mental point of view. We've spoken about wellness nutritionally, and we have now landed at wellness financially. This is a question and answer session. I just want to ask, is there anybody here who can help with a definition of what financial wellness may mean before we even get into the question of inflation and how to keep it going? Can we lay the foundation? Anybody? How would you define financial wellness? Anybody? Yes? Anybody able to answer that question? Olubanke, are you there? Christian, are you there? I think those are the two people I can see now. How?
Okay, let me give it a try, all right?
And if there's anybody here who's used the link that I just shared that does not require you to register, please, can you just rename yourself so that it's easy to know exactly who you are? But is there anybody here who is ready or interested in helping us to define financial wellness? We have a lot to cover today, so we need to make it rapid fire style. Yes, what's financial wellness? Anybody?
Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Who is talking, please?
My name is Barnabas.
Yes, I can hear you now. But
all right.
Can you rename your login ID and change it from HeyCoach to Barnabas so we can recognize you? Please go ahead.
Okay, I'll do that. So from my little mindset, I can say financial wellness refers to a particular state of being where I as an individual have an healthy and stable financial situation, one which allows me to meet certain financial obligations, enables me achieve certain financial goals and enjoy myself and maybe my peace of mind.
You've packed a lot in there. Healthy, peace of mind, can achieve my objectives, stable, but you are spot on. Fantastic. Yes, anybody else want to contribute? Financial wellness, how do you define it? Anybody else? All right. So it's like you saw my slide, but I will come back to that. When you understand what we've been talking about since we started, we said that wellness is not just the absence of sickness. In terms of how the World Health Organization defines health, it defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. That is how it was defined. So when you think of financial wellness, my definition of financial wellness is that financial wellness speaks to, like Barnabas has said, a state of being, and I need to follow me slowly here, where money and money-related matters do not cause you sickness, where money and money-related matters do not affect you negatively. They do not impair your ability to function. They do not impair your ability to perform. That is what we mean by financial wellness. Getting to that state where money and money-related matter, if I can use the regular balance, does not stress you. Now, I need you to soak that in and think about it. Am I now saying that you are a Dangote, you are a $10? A point I would like to make here is that financial wellness is not just, note that word, is not just about your bank balance. It is not just about the size of your portfolio. Financial wellness is not just about your balance sheet. Financial wellness is a state of being, is a continuum, and it is more around your ability and your mindset. And as we unpack it, it becomes clearer. So, what we are there now going to do today, I think you have muted me. You have muted me.
You are loud and clear, sir.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can
sir.
hear you.
All right. We are saying that, how do you get to that point where you are not stressed out by money-related matters? Now, before I go to the question that Bumi asked me, and I hope I can still remember, you need to know that this thing we are talking about is not just an instant. So let me give you 2 examples. Somebody wins a lottery today. Financial awareness we are talking about is not about how you feel now that you are won the lottery. Or even if you look like somebody who is struggling from paycheck to paycheck, the day that person collects salary, that person is in a different state. But when we speak about wellness, we are talking about a state of being that is continuous, that is stable. And that leads me to this quick slide I want to use. I saw this from, I think it was Pastor Femi Emmanuel. I saw a video circulating around. I hope I am right, because I'm not very familiar with him, but I think that is his name. And he shared this. He called it the pyramid of wealth. I'm trying to pull up this slide to make you see it. And I will then go by asking you a question to say that when we then say wellness, financial wellness, what do we mean? So just confirm to me, please, when you can see my screen. Can anybody see my screen now? Wealth pyramid. Can you see? If you can simply say yes. Okay. So Pastor Emmanuel, I believe, said that the first level is financial crisis. These are people who live from debt to debt. I will not say paycheck to paycheck. They live from debt to debt. They are perpetually scavenging and looking for how to just keep body and soul together. I can't go too deep because of time. The next level is financial instability. This person is not necessarily scavenging, but is living from paycheck to paycheck. A little call from home, where you have the black tax, everything goes into a spin. A little headache or running temperature, having to just buy a few drugs, everything goes into a tailspin. That's financial instability. And then you now go to that guy who has a measure of stability. As long as the salary is running, as long as the shop is open, there is no curfew, there is no strike, the schools are open, the students are there, everything is fine. This guy is able to stay afloat. And then maybe they are running their lives with loans. On the outside, everything looks stable, but a small tip and everything goes over. And then you now get to the level of financial independence. Now, at this level, this person is now not about salary. This person is now not about one paycheck. It's not about one source of revenue. This person now has money that is making money. This person is no longer at the risk of, if anything happens to one particular line, everything goes kaput. That is financial independence. Before you now get to financial freedom, where your wealth situation is now not just about you. Okay, at this point, the expensive things become cheap. So the question is not about how much the stuff is. The question is, what can you do and why should you do it? And once the why is checked, the how becomes more straightforward. So if you understand these 5 steps, and I now ask, what step do you think is financial wellness? What will your answer be? Anybody? Feel free. There's no right or wrong answer. When you pick, you tell us why. Yes. Anybody? What level here do you think is financial wellness? Am I alone in this house?
Okay, maybe I would say financial freedom for my POV.
Okay, financial freedom, yes. Any other thoughts? From Esther, what is Esther saying? Yes. Okay, just said 4. Okay, that is financial independence. Yes. Any other thought? Any other thought from anybody? Yes, you can always read it. I can't seem to see any comment. Okay, what is she saying? Please read it out. I'm struggling to. So yeah, please go ahead and read it.
So there's the number 3, and that's from Christiana. Then Ruth says from number 5.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I saw a comment. All right. Now, okay, so I have 3, I have 5, I have 5, and then I have 4. Let me just say that if you understand that financial wellness is not a point, it's a state of being. And that word is very important. It means it is present and it is continuous. In the course of the questions, I hope I get to elaborate a bit more. But financial wellness starts from number 3, provided that you have the right variables in place to move yourself toward financial freedom. So if you can achieve financial stability, but you then don't kick back and throw your hand in the sky and you don't miss out on the kernel of this conversation, then you're on your way to financial wellness. I'm sorry, Bumi, that I completely went off your question, but can you please recap or remind me the question that you asked me? I actually thought it was necessary for us to lay this foundation before we got into that.
Yeah, thank you very much, tmak. That's fine. So I was asking about the role of inflation and how to manage the income, and also how to then increase the incomes as a way to find a means to hedge against inflation.
Okay. Thank you very much. So what you've done is to that question is loaded. That question has kind of captured everything I think we should be trying to talk about this evening. But if I take it and I try to slice it, how do you deal with inflation? How do you ensure that you don't go under this, what I call the tunubulous times that we are dealing with? It's about 3 things. It's about what I call the 3 Ds. You need to develop your mind as far as wealth is concerned, or financial wellness, if I call it that. Number 2, you need to develop your skills, the knowledge, the information that's available to you. And number 3, you need to develop your discipline. That's why I call it the 3D. Develop your mind, develop your skills, and develop your discipline. I'm not sure how you want me to go about answering this question. Should I answer it? Because it's like everything that we're going to talk about, or do you want to break it down layer by layer so that we can navigate our way through this comprehensive answer?
Okay, so maybe we dive it into your advice for salary earners. How should they plan it? And maybe we can even take it down to even understanding how to manage in terms of budget, all of those things.
Okay. So when it comes to money, money doesn't respect you whether you are earning salary or whether you are an entrepreneur or you are living off daddy's account. Okay? when it comes to money, the first thing is that if you do not develop your mind about how to succeed as far as money is concerned, it doesn't matter how much you make, you will always end up broke. Financial wellness is first and foremost a mindset. What is your mind about money? Let me say it quickly. There is no fast way to get rich in a sustainable manner. None. It is because wealth or being wealthy is more of your mindset and your ability than your bank balance. That is why a wealthy mindset may not have 1 naira in his or her account, but because that capacity has been built, that person is able to, by one call, by one connection, create wealth. But you find somebody who does not know how to create wealth. Even when you give that person a lottery, check back in 6 months, check back in 1 year, you can't find a trace of that money. So the first thing is you need to shift your mind as far as wealth and income is concerned. A few things you need to shift your mind on. You cannot become wealthy by accident. You cannot become wealthy by random. You can become wealthy as an employee, provided you know the rules, but your attitude towards money must be clear. You must know that wealth goes to people that respect it, people that cultivate it, people that hot it and attract it to themselves. That's the first thing. The second thing, which is very, very important, is about the skills and the competencies. As an example, when you hear the word asset, A-S-S-E-T, what is an asset? I'm an accountant. Let me throw it open. Can anybody help? What is an asset? What's an asset? Anybody? What is an asset?
An asset could be an item or a resource that has value, which is capable of generating me income or providing me certain benefits. To me, that is an asset.
You? Barnabas, person was an asset? What is an asset? Anybody? Okay. An asset, traditionally in accounting, assets are defined as the thing that you own, that you have title over, what they call beneficial title. That is your own, and you can use it to generate and create value multiple times. But when it comes to this issue of wealth creation, an asset is bigger than that. An asset is anything that creates value for you. And this is important. And this is just an example. So what I'm saying here is that when we talk about developing your skills, what we are saying cannot be fulfilled just on this program. You have to be intentional. You have to stay hungry. You have to stay foolish. Keep looking, reading, attending seminars, getting your feet wet, equipping yourself. When they talk about crypto today, what's your position on it? When you talk about what they call this yeah, sorry, this I'll remember the name. But there are different things that are going on right now that are not traditional, that are not necessarily how we knew it 10 years ago. How aware are you of these things? How immersed are you in these things? How confident are you to NFT? Yes, NFT is what I wanted to remember. All sorts of things that are coming along. So you can't hide inside the rock. So people are from Abeokuta here. They go under the rock and hide. And they think they're going to know what's going on in the world. No, it's not going to happen that way. If you want to become wealthy, you be intentional to expand your mind, read up, learn. And then in number 3, which I said discipline, develop your discipline. It's easy to have that thinking. It's easier to know the skills, but are you disciplined about it? Can you be committed to doing what you now know? Bumi has already mentioned mentioned budget, mentioned this, mentioned that. When you now know, what will you do with the knowledge? That is where the rubber meets the road. You can grow your wealth 10x, 20x, 50x over whatever period, provided you are disciplined to run after it. So, in answering that question, therefore, in this time, it's an opportunity for you to grow muscle, grow financial muscle. Because right now, this is crushing everybody. So what's your choice? Would you lie down and cower under it and just continue to complain? Or will you develop your mind, develop your skills, develop your discipline, and see how right inside these tumultuous times, you can become a more wealthy and more successful person? Not just because of the balance that will be in your bank or the size of your balance sheet, but because of the capacity that you will have built that will take you to the next level. I wasn't planning to talk for so long. I'll try and make it short, and forgive me, please.
That's very fine. Thank you so much. And that's fully loaded. I hope we all got it, and I hope we're actually taking notes, because this is something, these are learnings that you probably pay millions to receive out there. So please ensure you're taking very good notes so that you can go back to it even after this session. Thank you, tmak. So you've spoken a lot about developing the mind and the need for the skill to be upgraded, learn new things, and then wrap it all up with the discipline to practice whatever you have learned. But if you could please just share a few financial planning strategies with us, you can combine it, either for the career-focused people or people in their early careers or mid-career level, or even for the entrepreneurs. What are the key financial planning strategies that you would recommend, considering where we are right now in the tumultuous economy? I hope I got that right.
Yes, tumultuous.
So what are the major financial planning strategies that you can advise that we implement?
Okay. That's broad, but I will try and focus on a few. The first financial strategy you need to have is to have a financial goal. It's shocking how powerful purpose is. When there is no purpose, everything becomes a game, everything becomes lottery. So the first thing is, as you are listening to me, what is your financial target? Somebody here is saying, but I don't have a job. Somebody here is saying, but my salary is not even enough for me to start. Somebody here is saying, but the prices are catching up with everything. You have no idea how having a purpose can just completely transform your mind. When there is a clear purpose that you are chasing, you begin to see things you were not seeing before. You begin to understand what you did not understand before. What was like noise begins to make sense, sounds like orchestra playing, simply because there is a purpose. So it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, but there should be a financial target. There should be a financial goal. Let me give you an example. In 1 year, by the end of this year, in 2 years, I want to have this level of. And what are you chasing? Where there is no purpose, everything becomes lottery, is a gamble. So the first thing is to have clear financial goal. That's number one. Number two is to then get to know the power of how I have been able to keep body and soul together with all the wrong that I have around me. And I just say the power of budget. Budget is capable of making somebody who takes Milo and Horlicks and liquid milk. Budget is what will make that person to go and be taking Lipton tea and powdered milk, and there will be no noise. Budget is what will make somebody who eats out 3 times a week, 5 times a week, will know that, nah, this cannot happen. Now I need to start cooking in or eating in. Budget is that silent monitor that ensures that this person who is eating with 3-5 meats per meal begins to see that this thing cannot happen. I need to cut this down, cut that down. Budget is extremely powerful if you have the discipline. Okay? And it is from that budget that you are now able to save. It's from that budget that you are now able to invest. It is from that budget that you are now, from saving and investment, begin to move yourself from crisis to instability to stability to independence before you now get to freedom. It's a journey, but the person you are becoming in that journey is more important than the balance sheet that you are building in the process. Because business can go bad, bankruptcy can happen. When you have the capacity to create wealth, you will always get back to it and you are going to succeed at it. So it's about, one, setting that goal, 2, building a budget, running a budget, and having the and getting comfortable with running with a budget. And then number 3, having that discipline to apply what is coming out of that budget from a savings point of view, from an investment point of view, and from that, you're giving yourself a platform. Whether you are earning a salary or you're an entrepreneur, you build a platform on which you can then launch, and in no time at all, you feel better with yourself when it comes to monetary matters.
Thank you so much for that, tmak. So now we are learning the importance of setting goals and the strategies around it. How do we then know when you're on the right path? Are there indicators that we can look out for to say, okay, I'm on that path of achieving financial health or having that financial wellness? Are there specific indicators that we can use to just assess our current financial situation?
Very good question. If you allow me, can I turn that to the attendees? How, if you're on your way to financial wellness, how will you know? Anybody? What do you think will be the signpost on that journey as you travel towards wellness? Yes, anybody can unmute, or if you cannot talk, you can type.
Okay.
How do you know
Good evening.
when you, yes, somebody saying something?
Yes. So I feel like usually
Please,
what
who
will
is speaking?
stress me, because this is Christy.
All right.
So usually what will stress me because of the inflation will not bother me, because even if I am stressed, it still does not change the fact that there is inflation. So if that indicates that I am on my way to financial wellness. There's no high blood pressure because of increase in price, because it has increased. There's nothing I can do about it. So I think that's an indicator for me.
Okay, yes. You get less stressed from money matters. Yes, yes, I'm looking for more. There are I mean, it's a journey that you are well aware of when when you're on that journey. And you, in fact, it is this indicator that Bumi is asking about that gives you the fuel for that journey. So anybody, how do you know? Are we saying that there's nobody here that's on that journey?
Okay, let me add a few things. So when you have a clear financial vision, right? Something essential to your strategy should be tracking, right? So you regularly monitor your income. When you have that mindset, you monitor your expenses to ensure they align with my goals, right? And when I do this, I look into my savings, it's aligning with my goal, my investment costs aligning with my goal. When I track what I'm doing, I believe it's a success indicator for me. And my financial stress through that, it decreases. And I try to avoid lifestyle inflation. I cut down a lot of things, and I feel confident and I feel in control. So tracking is important to me.
I like that. So you hinted on certain things, but does anybody want to add to that? Anybody wants to hit that on the head? How do you know?
Oh, so another thing for me is that
To me,
I
okay.
I try to see the good even in the bad. An instance is when this tea fare inflated. I just converted it to early morning walk for myself. I said exercise is good. Some people are cuckoo paying to go to gym.
I
How
agree.
about I use this as as a means of exercising and not paying anybody? My money is in my pocket and it is early morning walk. So I just find out the good from the crisis that's around me.
I see that you are very heavy on the mental side of it, which is extremely important. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Somebody was trying to say something before. Yes.
Well,
Go ahead.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, John and somebody else.
The lady should go on first.
Yes, I want the lady to go first, actually. Who is the person?
Okay. To me, I think proper planning and record keeping
Okay,
goes a long
good.
way,
Yes.
because I noticed I've forgotten the session when we had the month when we had the session where you brought someone and she was talking about when you have your money you can buy palm oil and store. I actually did that. I told my mom, I have so cash, buy palm oil. She was like, hey, one more. So and I did it. Now she's telling me, this 32,000. Do you want to set that? I said, no, just keep it for me. Still keep it. When it is high, I will buy. And now people are spraying for 30,000, and I bought it 10,000 naira then. And now it's not 32,000. Yes.
I'm coming to your house. I'm coming to arrest you. You are going to pay tithe now. Is it just to be making money and keeping? But that's very great. That's nice.
No
Very nice.
problem, sir.
Very
So,
nice.
and I
Yes.
don't buy what I
Go
don't
on.
need. I buy I don't buy what what is unnecessary. Even my kids, they know. It's not everything you ask me I'll buy for you. I'll tell you, do you really need it? If it's not what we want, we don't buy. People may call me alarm. I don't care. So one must be disciplined to the core about how you
Discipline. I
spend your
like
money.
that. Yes. How do you know when you're on your way to this financial wellness? How do you know? I'm looking for. Yes, John, please go.
Okay. Maybe a good summary of what almost everybody has said. Like a good number of training we've had there, mapping the goal in the future with the past, what has been the improvement, seeing a good level of improvement, even if it is small, but being sure that financial KPIs in the future are being met and parameters on ground, either savings or investment or work in progress, are matching the future, even with inflation all around. So that's how to.
Thank you very much. It's
I'm happy
something
that plans are well.
very well said. It's something that is not difficult to pick. It's like when somebody was ill, if somebody has been ill, how do you know when the person is getting better? You begin to see that person, the person will know, okay, I couldn't sleep well. Okay, I couldn't eat well. Or when I take two staircase, I used to pant. Now I'm going the entire staircase. I do not even have strength to see it. And then you see the progress, exactly the same way it is. Remember the pyramid, the wealth pyramid. If somebody's starting point, and I want to say this clearly, this has been very strong in my mind as I've been thinking about this. Please, I don't want anybody on this call, or if you ever get to watch this later, to think that financial wellness is something you cannot achieve. It matters not where you are right now as we are speaking. It doesn't matter. Unemployed, in debt, your bills are higher than your income. It does not matter where you are right now. If you can get your mind out of that state and just listen to what we are sharing and apply it, and give yourself 3-6 months, this thing I'm about to say, you begin to see it. Because what then happens is that even if you are in the hole, the first thing is you see that you stop digging that hole. There are people who borrow 10,000. I was mentoring a young lady I still mentor her, but I got involved with a young lady about a year and a half ago. And this lady was borrowing money to pay money with interest. Now, by the time, and I'm talking about all these loan sharks, 5% every month, 7% every month, 3% every month. It looks very small. But by the time you compound, she was drowning. Even when we started, being honest, in my head, and she didn't have any job at that time. It was like, how are we going to do this? But once you get onto that journey and you are decided about it, it's straightforward. Today, she's living debt-free. This is about a year ago, debt-free. And I'm talking about debt at that time that was going to, was it going to 5 or 7 million naira? Now it's debt-free. And it's not like and between then and now, she has actually not taken up any paid employment. But once your mind is calibrated in a particular direction, everything begins to align. So you will know, because if you are in a hole, you stop digging the hole. And as you start to fill up the hole, you may not even start from being able to save, but you find out that you are no longer borrowing. Then maybe this month you were only able to save 5,000, and then you feel better about it. And then 10,000, like Ruth said, you start cutting out things that you don't need. In my house, I don't eat a lot. For those who know me, one of the things I do to keep afloat, I take a lot of beverage. Budget and this thing has taught you that when you can no longer, when the desirable is not affordable, the affordable becomes desirable. So you begin to see it improve. And then before the 10th of the month, you are borrowing here, as salary comes, and then you are down to zero. And then you keep on that cycle. And when they talk about losing your job, you go into a frenzy, you become very paranoid. You begin to see that not only is your salary taking you through the month, not only is the income from the business taking you through the month, you are paying salaries, you have a little change. Like Christy has said, your mind around it starts to shift. Because you cannot buy Ashwebi for somebody does not make you now lose your sleep. Slowly you see it begin to gather. And then one day you realize that they say, hey, there's investment opportunity here. And you too can say, what is the minimum? And they say the minimum is 20,000. Me too, I can do 100,000. That's the journey. And the more you spin it and you make time work in your favor, you'll be shocked as to how much you can achieve in a very short time. So, as you go on, the statistics, which is what Femi and Barnabas had hinted on, there are things you are measuring. If you had a financial target of saving 10 million, as you go on, you will see how close you are getting to it. You will know. If you have the target of investing X amount, as time passes, you will see how much you are getting done in that space. If your objective is to be able to live within a particular amount of money, you will see how you are going around it. And those things will give you the fuel for the journey that you are on. It is not something that you can do without knowing whether you are well or not. It cannot happen in a vacuum.
Thank you very much. Please, a quick one for some that join using the HeyCoach username. Could you please change your username so that we are sure who you are when you're responding? Thank you very much. So we've talked about how to manage, how to ensure that you set financial goals and you make your plan towards it. And we've also talked about the way to know when you are healthy or when you're not healthy. I'd like us to do a quick detour to then talk about, I know we've talked about budgets, we've spoken briefly about it. Can we do a quick detour to just talk about it so that people know that when you earn something, either at the end of the month or from a project, how do you manage it to ensure or to help you arrive at that financial wellness journey that you're going that you're on? So things around what percentage should go to different aspects. And then regarding the economy that is so tight already, how do you then ensure you stay within the confines of the budget? And I'm packing a lot in here so that you can help distill it. And then, so how do you also then ensure that you save? Because it's until you save before you can start talking about investment. And when the amount of money that you're even earning is not a lot, or that you are making is not a lot, how do you ensure that you still save and still maintain life and still ensure that the standard of living is not down to zero? At least you can still have some fun and live life. So help unpack all of that.
You have put a lot in that single question, but I'll try. So, it's one of the most underrated tool that I have seen, and I just hope that somebody here will go away from here with a renewed commitment to seeing the difference that budget can make. So what is budget? Budget is a financial plan of the future that says, this is how my financial space is going to work. So budget will look at how much am I anticipating to make, and then try to find a balance between that and the amount that you need to spend. This is the tricky part. And forgive me if I'm sound like a broken record, but I've seen too many people give up at this point. They look at their budget, they look at their income, they look at their expenditure, and they just stop, because the two do not resemble each other. And in their head, there is no way to do it. But please stop. If today you start this journey and your budget deficit, if you like, if your budget deficit is 70%, let me assure you, as you begin to apply yourself to what we are saying, if you remember the number line has 0, it has minus, then it has positives. For those who still remember arithmetic, when you start budget, it doesn't matter how far away the minus is. What you do by working on this thing I was saying is, you will start moving it slowly, slowly, slowly. See, if you get yourself to 0, where you are not borrowing, but you have enough, you have done tremendous work. And from that base, you can now start to move +1, +2, +5, +10, +15, until you turn it into something very great. So, budget says, be intentional with your finances. On the income side, what can you do to grow your income? And I hope we get to it. How can you expand the size of the plan? How can you bake a bigger cake? There are so many things that you could do right now once you have a goal. But let me not go too far down into that. So when you take care of this is the income that I have, you may not be able to do something about increasing your income right now, but I can assure you there is a lot you can do about your expenditure right now. And what do you need to do? You need to understand that there's a difference between needs and wants. Please, who can help me? What's the difference between needs and wants? Anybody? What's the difference between needs and wants? I need help.
Okay, needs are essential things that they are important. You can most likely not do without them. Then I can term wants to be like cravings, something you are drawn to, you are attracted to. You just want them. It's not like if you don't have them, you will die.
Thank you. Yes. Anybody else want to contribute?
Needs are just basic things of life that are needed to keep life going.
Okay.
With respect to the financial condition, because it's also with respect to the financial condition at that
Yes, it's
moment.
always about your capacity.
I mean, so you can't say, your salary cannot get a house. I'm using Lagos, cannot get a house in Ikoyi, and then you go and say it's what you need because you need a house. There are other houses to rent.
Correct.
So
I think nobody's raising hand. Who is that? I think I heard Grace raise her hand. She's still there.
So what I wanted to say was said earlier. That's why I just heard it.
Say that again.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was said already earlier. So yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Thank you. How are you doing, Grace? So the
Very well, thank you.
the needs are the things that are essential for life, for survival, for functioning. And even for those needs, they have different hierarchy. Somebody who has not been able to pay for rent cannot be the same person who is worrying about buying a gas cooker or buying a microwave or buying an air conditioner, no matter how hot the weather is. So, but needs are essential. They are the things that are required for functional living. And even at that, they have levels. There is something that is called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They are all needs, but there are some needs that are more primary than some others. But the point of budget is you look at the needs, and the target is to see how you are not spending more than 50% of your income on your needs, your recurrent expenditure. You are paying rent, you are buying food, you are doing transport, you are taking care of clothes. The target is to see how you can keep that within 50-60%. Now, I want you to pay attention that I am not giving you any exact number. The reason is, it's a function of where you are starting from, and you will understand in a bit. So the first bucket is the bucket of need, because you need to stay alive, you need to be effective, you need to function for anything else to happen. Once you've taken care of needs, then I'm a Christian, I believe in tithing, I am not forcing it down your throat, but for me, I believe that even nature teaches us that it is the things you put back in the earth that gives you the next harvest. So I believe in tithing. So 10% of my income goes to tithe. So if I've taken 50 for needs, I've taken 10 for tithe, I have 60%. Excuse me. That means now I have 40% left. Now, that 40%, how you play around it will depend on where you are in your journey. By the way, if you go to our YouTube channel, Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative, you will see a series on budgeting. This one I'm doing, I'm flying at 40,000 feet above sea level. I can't really go down. So if you really want to immerse yourself in budget, go to that YouTube channel, Development, Empowerment, and Leadership Initiative, and you will find videos there that speaks to budget. So if I continue my track, 50 for needs, 10 for tithe, it gives you 40% left. Recommended, try to save at least 10% of your income to start with. That makes it 70%. Again, as if you can, try to have a 10% as an emergency fund. So even though you have 10% as savings and 10% as emergency, they are essentially neighbors, but in your head, 10 is saving. The other 10 is if anything happens, you can run on it. Okay, so that makes it how many percentage? 80%. Now, if you are in a position to make an immediate investment, the 10% from that balance of the 20% can go into immediate investment. But if you are like me and you are just starting, the best or the easiest way to get to investment is by saving. So technically, you are saving 20% and you are able to then grow it until the point where if it is material enough, then you can invest. So, but the bottom line is that whatever the percentage is that works for you, the first rule of budget is you cannot spend more than what you have earned. So two things has to happen. And sometimes if you can do the two simultaneously, you're in a good position. The first thing is see what you can do to increase your revenue. And this age and time where technology has democratized everything, it means that there are no limits to what you can do. I'm not even talking about side hustle. I'm talking about complementary things. There's hardly, if you are disciplined with time and disciplined with your time, there's hardly any skill you have that there is not a person who is ready to buy it, including just your brute force or your energy, provided you have a goal. There's somebody here who should be setting up a car wash business. What do you need? Save money and buy a pump that can give you pressure water. And then find somebody to run it for you. You don't even need to know how many cars they are washing every day. Do an estimate and do a cut with them. Every day, I give you this machine. Maybe they are paid for NEPA. You do the numbers. Every day, you give me this amount of money, period. Your risk is very low. This is not a Uber that somebody can disappear and come and tell you they have stolen the motor or police arrested the person. Know where the person is saying, pay the rent and do the number. You'll be shocked what is possible when your mind gets calibrated in this direction. So if your income is not enough, focus on that and say, how can I expand the pie? What certification do I need to do that can make me even earn more in my current employment? What additional skill set can I acquire? That's on the revenue side. That may take some time, but you need to get going on that journey. But the more immediate journey is the journey of cost. You'll be shocked by the time you start running this, your cost of needs and then savings. You'll be shocked how much you can save. I want to ask a question here and I don't want to answer. How many of us are aware of how much we are spending on airtime every month? How many people are aware of how much they are spending on soft drinks every month? What is that thing? When I teach this course, I ask people to audit their expenses. This time and age now that everything usually by card. Everybody has almost everybody now, whatever money you spend goes through a bank account. If you want to do it, go to your bank account, pull your bank statement for 6 months. You don't even need the bank now. You can do it tonight and go through your debit. Just slowly go through them. Even when you draw cash, ask yourself, what did I use this cash for? You will be shocked how much you can save. So the idea, I mean, I like to joke, I like to use myself as an example. I'm from Ondo State and I love pounded yam. And I don't eat a lot, but I can eat pounded yam every day for 1 year. That's how I was raised and I enjoy it. But you know how much yam is saying now? You know how much poundo yam is saying now? You don't need anybody to beg you to start eating eba or even eat anything that is lower than eba once the numbers are not balancing. That is the power of a budget. It keeps you on the straight and narrow. So budget says you must ensure that the tribal marks that your income is carrying is similar to the tribal marks that your expenditure is carrying. And whatever you do, you need to give yourself a headroom. Save, invest, and as you do more of that, you begin to multiply. One last thing before I stop is that imagine you are in unemployment and you are hearing this for the first time and you struggled this level, but you are not really balancing. You are still in that instability position. And then you get the next job or the next raise and you have a 20% or 30% raise. When you have the discipline of budget, all you do is you freeze your expense where you are. So that even though you may not be able to save the entire 20, 30%, if it's only 10% of that you can save, you're on your way to building to building wealth and so these are the things, sorry that you can't see me now, Nigeria has happened, but it's not stopping me from continuing to talk. So it will, once you get this started, you know, I do not know what my life would have been if I did not know what I'm telling you now, like 20 years ago. It's this thing I'm telling you. If I write my story, for those who know my journey and how rough it was growing up, I can't write my story without telling you the power of knowing this thing about 25 years ago and how much difference it has made in my life. So budget and the discipline to run it. And like Ruth has said, you don't look at anybody's face. Many people are spending money to buy the things that they don't need, to impress people that they don't know, who will not even remember them. So if you get to run a budget and you are committed to it, it doesn't matter what your ratio is, but 4 things are there. Number one, you don't spend more than what you have earned. Number two, you ensure that there is a provision for savings and investment and emergency funds. And then number three, you are determined to follow that system, no matter how inconvenient it is for you. It's only a matter of time. You are going to become financially well and you are going to build wealth.
That's very packed. I hope we are still taking notes. And please, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to drop them. In fact, we can actually take a pause to take your questions right now. So if you have questions, please raise your hand or type it in the comment section or on mute so that we can hear from you. So you have the floor. We're waiting for your questions. You can either raise your hand or type it or just go ahead to unmute.
Wow, it's already after 7. Any question? Are you typing? Are you undecided? Anybody with any question? Okay, just by way of
sorry,
go on.
I have one at the top of my head, right?
Please go ahead.
So budgeting is important, right? And such you have said. So I want to ask, is there a place for emergency funds in my budget or something I can call miscellaneous? You know, some needs will just arise out of the blue and you have to just dip your hands into it, you know, and just pull out funds. So how do you manage such situations?
Okay, I guess maybe you missed that because I actually mentioned it specifically that 50% for needs, 10% for tithe, 10% for savings, 10% for investment. I said 5 to 10% again for, I think I actually said 10% for emergency fund, but it doesn't matter whatever you can afford. There should be an emergency fund. But what you will most likely do with the emergency fund is to either add it to your savings or add it to your investment because it doesn't become required until you need it. And then whatever is left is like 5-10% becomes available for you in terms of your needs, if there are things that you were delaying that you now need to respond to. But if I can speak directly to what you asked, yes, you need to have an emergency fund. Life will always happen. Things never go straight line. It's up to you to ensure that there is a fall position when things like that happen. I don't know if I've answered your question properly.
Yes, you have.
All right. Yes, questions? I wanted to also just point out that on the group chat, my producer has dropped a couple of things. He has dropped the link for the money management playlist on our YouTube channel. You may just want to copy that because you may not see it once the session is ended. He has also given you the link to the YouTube channel. So that way you can see not just this money management series, but there is over 150 videos there on different things that I believe will be very useful to you if you are new to the channel. All right, any other question? Okay, Bumi, I think we need to kind of have, you need to be select, you need to be intentional with your next set of questions. I think in another 15 minutes, we should actually be we should be landing. So please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, everybody. So the last question for me, and then you can, so I'm going to combine two questions into one, and so you can take it and then give us your wrap-up charge after that. So one is, while talking about managing budgets and the need to compromise on certain things or find alternatives, we've spoken about health and wellness and the meals that are healthy for different genotypes or different blood groups. Now, how do you ensure that in trying to stay within the budget and make sure you are not overspending, how do you ensure you don't, number one, substitute quality such that you are now not taking foods that are not healthy for your system? That's one. And in the same breath, you've spoken about, I was going to talk about how to increase revenue, but you've spoken about it, so we will leave that for now. But how do you ensure that while trying to maintain budgets, you're not substituting quality for quantity? Then how do you also, what suggestions do you have for investment that are not necessarily in the millions? So what are the early investment ideas or suggestions that you can give to people that are just starting out in investing or that are just trying to start making inquiries about investing? What are some of the investment options that are out there that we can access with at least as little as say 5,000 or maybe even 1,000 naira, I think that would be beneficial for this conversation.
All right. So the first question has to do with what, please just remind me.
Also ensure you're not substituting quality for quantity while maintaining budget.
Yes, thank you. So what you find really is that the healthy food are actually cheaper than the non-healthy ones. The difference is just that it puts more pressure on you as the consumer in terms of how to prepare it. But like one of my girls taught me a couple of years ago, she said she put something up on her status, I think, I can't remember whether she sent it to me, that all you have to do is to choose your hard. She did a lot of example. Being married is hard, being divorced is hard. You need to choose your hard. Being active, going to the gym and working out is hard, but being inactive and being obese or unfit or having health situation is also hard. You have to choose your hard. So the healthier foods are actually cheaper. The problem is usually you have to prepare them yourself. So which hard would you choose? Will you either choose the hard of financial challenges, or choose the hard of health challenges, or you choose the hard of getting into the preparation yourself? It's a matter of choice. But typically, you won't most likely spend more money eating healthier food than you will spend eating non-healthy food. So how to be creative about it so that it now doesn't become an unnecessary burden is what now is left to us. We brought a nutritionist here who told us that, can't remember very well, but I think he said that in terms of hierarchy, it is better to eat it raw or then boil or then I think maybe roast before you then talk about fry and then before you now go to processed. I was listening to something saying that anything that goes through an intermediary before it comes to you, or anything that you see them advertising, interesting angle, that you don't see people advertising cassava, advertising yam, advertising oranges. That once you see it, label the product, check it very well. It is no longer food. So my point is, if you are focused on health and you are focused on wellness, and you want to do it with your budget, it is easier to eat natural foods and healthier foods than it is to eat the junks that eventually come back to bite us. That's number one. Number two, you spoke about where investment could start from with small funds. I would like to turn that over to you actually, because I think you are very competent in that space. And so to have another voice around the table. So let's share your experience with investing. There are commercial papers, there are treasury bills, there are different kinds of small things. So let's hear you share your experience with the world on that. You have the floor now as we get to land.
Okay, some options that come to mind immediately are, the one is there are some fintech apps, not to advertise any, but there is Optimus, there is Piggyvest, and there are loads of them. But while going into any of those, please do your research properly to be sure that it's not a company that can pack up or fold up tomorrow and run with your money. But some of these apps actually offer investment of as low as 5,000 naira. I think the money market, where you can buy and you earn interest over a certain period of time. And some also give you the option of saving every month while you earn interest. So you could set a target to say, okay, you link your card to it and say, give an instruction of on this particular day, every week or every day or every month, you can make certain this amount of deduction from my account. and those deductions start piling up into your account and your interest on it. Some are go as high as 15%, 13%, but you can try different apps to see which one works for you. The other bit is would be investing in shares. These days, with as low as 1,000 naira, in fact, even lesser than that, you can actually buy a share. And some of these apps also offer it. You have AfriInvest, you have Optimus, you have, I'm not sure if PiggyVest does shares, but there are different apps that actually offer this. You can buy local shares, that's Nigerian shares. You can also buy foreign shares with the likes of Bamboo, Trove, and the likes. And with these ones, you also need to do your research properly. Again, none of these things is about just diving in without doing due diligence. You have to do your research to ensure that the company you are investing in has very good fundamentals, and you can decide to even go for the ones that give you what's it called now, dividends. Some are dividend paying, some are not dividend paying, but you can, some banks recently have been selling their shares and announcing it. Access, GT, Zenith, yeah. So a lot of banks, and some may even still come up, Fidelity as well, yeah. So it's about assessing these banks. If you, I'm sure there are actually different videos online that are giving advice as to, okay, this bank, should you buy it? That bank, should you buy it? And then you can also do your research, check out different websites that talk about shares and investment and all those things, and you can decide to buy. Now, you actually don't even need to walk into the bank to buy shares. You can buy it directly from an app. Just provide your information, they open the CSCS account, and you can run with that. If you have some money, you can also decide to go into treasury bills or federal government bonds with as low as, I think, 50,000 or 100,000 naira. I'm not sure.
I think 50,000.
50,000. You can actually go, you can buy the federal government bonds, and for the bonds, they'll pay you, I think, in quarters. I think every quarter you get paid, you receive, what do they call it now? You receive certain amounts of money from them, interest based on what you have invested. And the good thing about it is it's every month. They release it at the beginning of every month. You can look out for it or ask your bank, or some of these apps also offer it. You can decide to do it. And the good thing about that one is the compounding interest. It's for, you have the 2-year term, you have the 3-year term. So as you buy every month, you keep compounding. And one good thing that you can do, even for the shares, if you're earning dividends, reinvest it for the first like 2 to 3 years. Keep reinvesting the dividend, reinvest the interest you're getting, all of these things, and it will compound what you're earning, what you will be earning down the line, even way more than your immediate, if you're taking it or you're saying, okay, I'll take the dividend and then I'll buy the shares again when the price has depreciated or appreciated. Compound interest, there's a lot of power in compound interest. So that is there. If you are very skilled, or if you have a very high appetite for risk, you can go into crypto. Crypto is a different field on its own that is for the strong-minded, but you can research about it. But it's also just about trading. You buy certain, what do they call them now?
Coins.
You buy certain coins, thank you. You buy certain coins when they are low and then sell them when it's appreciated, or you decide to buy a meme coin that will just go up, give you 1,000x, and it can also come down and give you minus 1,000x, where you lose the entire capital plus interest. So that's why crypto is a very different field on its own. And tmak also talked about NFT. It's also in that space. So there's a lot of decentralized finance happening right now that if you research into, you'll see which one works for your risk appetite and which one works for your personality. I think I'll wrap it up at that.
Well, thank you. Thank God I handed that over to you. Couldn't have done it that good. The point I just want to land on that is, please don't use native intelligence for investment. When you are ready to invest, find people who are experienced. I tell people who are close to me, there are two ways to get experience. You either borrow or you pay. If you don't want to pay, and sometimes if you experiment with investment, the payment can be very, very expensive. So if you don't want to pay for your own experience, please leverage on the experience of others. Don't use native intelligence. Let me sound a very clear warning so that it doesn't look like we led you astray. Be very, very careful with the app, with the investment apps. Be super careful. Check, evaluate, ask questions. Be very thorough in your evaluation process. And more importantly, when you are starting, don't start big. Start with something small that you can lose without you losing your life or losing your sleep, and grow it slowly, 20 until you build confidence, and then be in the space where you are hearing the experience of others. When it comes to investment, don't use native intelligence. If you are buying shares, please don't buy shares of companies that you don't understand what they are doing. There is no, if there was an easy way to make money, that's why all these money doublers, that's why you wonder how people fall for them. If there was such an easy way to make money, would they be the only one doing it? As in, they don't have family to give it to, that it is now you that they don't know. So when it comes to investment, whatever you don't understand, don't put money in it, one. And let me say this, thank God I remember. The different investment options, like Bumi said in passing, have different payback period, have different return cycle. The money you need to pay school fees, if you are here and you are paying school fees, or the money you need to do your business in 3 weeks, these are not the money we are talking about when it comes to saving and investing. You need to be sure that wherever you put your money, it aligns with your lifestyle. So if you need the money to come back very quickly in cash, you cannot go and put it in a bond that's going to take 3 years to mature. Bumi is saying, put back the dividend, put back the dividend. If the dividend is what you are going to be living on, you can't do that. So investment is scientific. There's a huge amount of data behind people that do investment. Don't use native intelligence. The first thing you should try to do is to build your savings. When you have built your savings and you want to get into investment, ask questions. If you are not making money, at least you will not lose the money that you have saved. You should not recklessly and carelessly lose the money you have saved simply because you want to invest and it sounds nice. And know that there is no investment ad or promotion or campaign that you will not see, and they will not paint the rosy side for you. They are not necessarily looking out for your interest. So they will package it and make it look like it's perfect. You can't trust that ad. You can't trust that campaign. You must do your own due diligence independent of the promotion so that you are sure of what you are putting your leg into. And like I said, start small. In investment, there's something they call diversification. You don't put all your money in one type of investment. All these banks coming out now, if you buy any one of them or you buy all of them, your risk is the same. If somebody comes tomorrow and says, we are closing all the banks, it means you have lost all your money. So that's why some people put some money in bank, put some money in manufacturing, put some money in oil. Like Bumia said, those who get liver, they go to crypto. Whichever way you want to go, you do. But just know that investment is not to be done with native intelligence. You have to check and do your best to have a good footing to wherever you are going. I'm not sure we can take any more. It's already 7:30. But I leave it to Bumi. What are we doing? Are we ready? Are we landing? Should we be wrapping up?
Yes, we are actually wrapping up now, but just one last time. Do we have any question? If you have a question, you have the opportunity to ask now before we wrap this up. And while you're chewing on that, so if we do not have any question, or while you're trying to decide if you want to ask the question or not, if there's a quote that says that the mind is like the stomach. It's not how much you put into it that counts. It's how much it digests. So you know that if you eat and the food doesn't digest properly, it can constipate you and even make you throw up. But when the food digests, that is when it really counts that you have eaten. So all that you are hearing today, ensure that you go back, stew on it, and ensure it guides how you then act and unact in the coming days. But if there are no questions,
There's a question on the group chat. Let me just see what I can do. It's a long question. What financial strategies and planning can I implement to ensure the financial wellness and sustainability for my new business, considering the following factors? Initial startup cost of 5 million, projected monthly expenses, rent, this of 1 million, projected monthly revenue of 2 million, desired profit of 30%, cost of breaking even within 6 months, plan to have employees within first year, need for ongoing funding to support the growth and expansion. Specifically, I would like to know strategies for managing cash, how and maintaining liquidity, cash flow and maintaining liquidity, options for funding and financing growth, approaches to pricing and revenue optimization, methods for tracking and studying financial performance. Assuming I have Mr. Olaniyo, I think what you need is a consultant, and I'm available. So this question you have asked here, even if the time is 6 o'clock, we cannot finish it in this our time. So, but if we can talk of this. This is a and this is speaking very specifically to a business. And there are many questions that you have not answered here. Where is the location? What is the market? What is the population of the market? What is the demographic or the dimensioning of the market? What is the economic position of that market? There are also macroeconomic variables that are around this. So there are other variables that you will need to throw into this model for you to churn out what it is that you are trying to do. We can talk offline if you're still interested in engaging it further. But what you need is a consultant. So ask me for a quote. I will give you a quote for this service, and then we can talk business.
Okay.
All right. So Bumi, what do you say? Can we land?
Yes, please give us your wrap-up charge.
So it's been a privilege to have been on this journey for the last 7 months. The message really as I land is that for anybody journey and those who are going to watch after, please just remember what I'm about to say, that tough times never last, but tough people do. The season that we are going through will not always be like this. That is one good thing about life. There is nothing that runs forever. But the question is when this wave will end who are the people that will still be standing. That is what we have been trying to do over the last 7 months. Build capacity for us to stand it. Build capacity for us to survive it. Build capacity for us not to just stand, survive, but to thrive. Because problems and opportunities are usually two sides of the same coin. So in this same economy, there are people who are making money. There are people who are thriving. I am not talking about politicians. I'm talking about people who are seeing problems and trying to solve. So what we are thus saying is, ladies and gentlemen, tough time never lasts. Tough people do. The question is, how do they become tough people? It's by capacity. It is by embracing the adversity. It is by ensuring that they focus on what is possible and they don't focus on the obstacle. They focus on the possible, they don't focus on the obstacles. So, on the medical side, on the physical side, on the mental side, on the financial side, which I just landed today, what have you learned? What will you apply? How do you ensure that you give yourself a fighting chance to survive and thrive, so that by the time this wave will pass, you will be standing, not just standing, you'll be flourishing. That is the goal of this series. That is the goal of this organization. And we are very grateful that you have granted us the opportunity to have you with us on this journey. As we land this today, next month, which is September, we are going to be taking another 1 month, I think, 1 month series. What are we focusing on next time? And then for October and November, we will be focusing on learning from this year and preparing for the next year. Yeah, what did you agree for next month?
For next one, we are talking about the tech paradox.
Yes.
They need to embrace.
Thank you.
Or they need to
So
stay
next
with.
month, we are moving completely out of this, and we are focusing on tech as a two-edged sword. On one hand, there is no running away from it. On the other hand, it's like salt. If you take too much of it, it's going to backfire. So the question, therefore, is, how do you find that balance? And that will be our focus for next month. Then for October and November, by the grace of God, we'll be looking back to look forward. What have we learned in 2024? How do we get better next year? How do we give ourselves the chance to win in 2025? And that would land us successfully for 2024 by the grace of God. So, thank you once again for being here all through. I will be handing back to Bumi, who will do the honors to close out. And then, hopefully, by the grace of God, we see you next month, September, as we'll engage a completely brand new topic. Thank you, everybody, and have a very good night.
Thank you, tmak. Thank you so much for the wealth of wisdom that you have shared with us. And thank you to our wonderful audience as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your restful and busy Saturday to listen to this. And I hope that you take all the learnings and let it make a difference in your finances, in your life, in your health, in everything, that every aspect of your life. And remember, if you actually look at the series since February, one thing has been very, very common. It's been stringing through every part of it, and that's the mind. The mind is very powerful. If you're going to experience any change or any transformation, it starts with the mind. So I'll encourage us to ensure that you pay attention to the mind, pay attention to what you're processing in your mind. You know, there's a phrase that says you mind your mind. So ensure that you do that, and we'll see you next month, and you will certainly be better for all that you have learned. Thank you so much. There's a survey in the comment section. Okay, there's a poll right now, so please do well to complete it. It takes less than a minute to actually answer it. Thank you. I can see that 3 people have completed it. So let's all try to answer it, because once the meeting ends, it will disappear off your screen. So please, if this has been relevant to you, if this has made a difference, please let us know via the poll. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, tmak. All right, everybody. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next month. Bye, and we will be in touch.